Écoute mon cœur, où es-tu maintenant? Il s'agit d'attendre toute ma vie.
There's no denying, Lies of P, it's a very difficult game. Especially because of one certain little mechanic that we have right here. Lies of P is sold to you as a game that is going to give you the option, the choice of being able to adopt the playstyle that you want to have. But it leans a little bit more on the perfect parry, perfect block mechanic that you have. The thing is that the perfect block, it's really tight in this game, and there's not too many people that likes that. And as a matter of fact, we like Souls games because they offer us the chance, the possibility to adopt the playstyle that we want to, and Lies of P initially tells you that, it sells you that idea, but in reality it leans too much on the perfect parry. And that is more prominent when you have Fury attacks, which is what we're going to be discussing in today's video. The Fury attacks, the delay of those things, the damage that they deal, it's just too much. And I cannot count how many times have I died because of them. I have learned to master each and every single one of them, but it took too much time, it took too long, and it made my first playthrough that much more difficult. My second playthrough was that much faster because I started using the Ghost Walker Amulet, which is this thing that you have right here. What this thing does is that it makes Fury attacks dodge available. Now there's a couple of downsides about this thing. What this does is that ideally you do not have to worry about blocking anymore. You can start an entire playthrough just by dodging, and let me tell you, the dodge mechanic, it's far more forgiving in this game than the block mechanic it is. The block mechanic has the rally system where you can regain your missing health, but it's ideally a better. I think that the game is much easier because of the iframe. The iframes on dodges are on point in this game, and the only thing that deterred me from actually focusing myself mostly, it was just the Fury attacks. The Fury attacks are just too annoying. Now what this thing is going to do is that it's going to negate that. You can now use your iframes to dodge those Fury attacks, and you know that there's some huge bosses in this game. There's many bosses that get outside from the camera and they do not allow you to time properly that dodge, that perfect block. But it is far more manageable to dodge, especially if you have the double dodge. So if you pair this thing with double dodge, the thing is that there's a couple of downsides of having this thing. Mainly, there's going to be 3 downsides of having the Ghost Walk Amulet, which is something that I do not know I like that much, because at the end of the day it is stripping the player of choice and things like that. But hey, if you're just a player that's better at dodging and that it feels that the parry mechanic is too tight, this is going to do the trick for you. But the downsides, the first one is that, as you can see right here, it's too heavy. So if you want to use the Ghost Walk Amulet, you do have to sacrifice that, because you're going to invest too much points into capacity. Points that you could be placing in the scaling of the damage of your weapon, points that you can be placing in stamina to be able to attack and roll more often, points that you can place on vitality to have that much more health. And I'm not joking, like, the weight on this thing, it's heavier than the heaviest weapons that you have. Like, for example, right here we have like the Holy Sword of the Ark, which is a strength-based weapon. And the thing is that the amulet is even heavier than that weapon. So yeah, like, that's one of the huge downsides. The second downside, though, this is only going to affect technique builds. But if you're a technique build, then you're going to be missing out on the 2 Dragon Sword, because it comes from a boss ergo, and it requires the boss ergo that allows you to craft this beautiful weapon. And I'd say that this is probably my favorite technique weapon. So on your first playthrough, you would have to decide whether to take this one right here or to take the Ghost Walk Amulet. But if you're not a dexterity build, then you really do not have to worry about this thing. Just take this bad boy right here to have in mind as well that the weight issue is still very much an issue right here. And then finally, the final downside of this amulet is that you do not get access to it until you're very, very late game. Well, not that much. I would say that this is something like mid-game, a mid-game amulet that you get it leaning a little bit more towards the late game. So it is an in-between thing, because you're going to get it on chapter 8, the boss in this chapter. That is where you're going to get it. So you're going to go through chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 without that. And there's actually quite a couple of bosses right there that are going to be using fury attacks that are going to be annoying. And I say middle to late game because after this point there's still too many hours that you can squish out of this game. Purely because the final act of the game, it's the longest one. It has many fights, it has a couple of boss fights, it's very long, and ideally while you are exploring the first time these places, they might seem like big places, but they are not. Like, as you can see, they have like 3 or 4 areas, and that's it. The final area of the game, it's going to have like 12 or something like that, like 12 stargazers. So yeah, that's something to have in mind. But then again, you're going to find this thing with boss that you're going to fight natural progression, so there's no way that you're going to be missing this thing right here. You're going to find it on the Barren Swamp Nest. And I mean, I love the amulet, it has the downsides, but if you're struggling too much with the parry window, with the perfect blocks, and you feel like the game is easier by dodging, spoiler alert, the game is much more easier if you focus purely on dodging. So yeah, it lowers the difficulty of the game, but it doesn't come without the downsides. Anyways, if you like the content, so like and very super appreciated. No one has told you today that you're a gorgeous and beautiful person. You are indeed a gorgeous and beautiful person. I will be seeing you goddamn gorgeous and beautiful people in the next one. Have a beautiful day and goodbye.
Écoute mon cœur, je t'attendrai même